Good day and welcome to the Protected by Purpose podcast. This is your host, Dorinda Walker. The Protected by Purpose podcast is designed to share stories of people who've turned their trials into triumphs, their mess into a message, and who've demonstrated success by exhibiting courage, faith, and the resiliency to live a life of purpose. Today I have the pleasure of chatting with one of my favorite power couples, the bold and bodacious Alfred Edmond Jr. and the phenomenally talented Zara Green. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Dorinda. We've been so looking forward to being on the Protected by Purpose podcast with you.
Oh. Thank you, Dorinda. Always a pleasure to be with you.
Thank you. I've been looking forward to this, and so have a lot of people who follow all of us. I've gotten so many notes. How did you get Alfred and Zara?
Because she know us.
Yeah.
She just called us and asked. That's all she got to do.
So there's a lot of juicy stuff about Loving in the Grown Stone that I want to get to. But first, tell the listeners who you both are individually. So Alfred, I'll start with you.
Well, I'm probably best known as a senior VP and now executive editor, but a longtime editor and editorial leader at Black Enterprise. In addition to being a co-founder of Grown Zone with Zara, I'm an author, I'm a speaker. What else do I do? Oh, I'm a natural bodybuilder. I'm not always as good as talking about myself. A lot of times when we do these shows, I'll introduce Zara and Zara introduce me. But most people know me either through Black Enterprise or the Grown Zone or hosting on radio. I've done a lot of radio work, including currently I'm a co-host with Dee Marshall of the Be Lifted Up radio show, which is a newly syndicated show on faith and finance. And of course, everybody knows I'm on social media. It feels like 24/7. It's more like 18 out of 24/7.
And it's okay with me.
Yeah, you're also a mentor and a teacher.
Oh yeah. Well, and speaking of the teaching, because you were at my first masterclass, I've launched a monthly masterclass. You can find out about it at grownzone.com/success series. It's designed to be a monthly discussion to cut through the BS of wealth creation and entrepreneurship and living a successful life. So I'm doing that every month in Newark. We're going to be at Third Space, the co-working space, here in Ironbound on July 18th. And so I do that. And of course, you're right. I'm so passionate about mentorship. I got a whole army of mentors all over the country. And if you see a hashtag that says, "My mentees are better than yours," they're probably one of my people anywhere on social media.
Awesome. Zara?
And that's Thursday evening. I want you to start making sure you tell people it's Thursday
evening. So you can come after work, after school, whatever.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I missed the memo that I can only do one thing. So I do several things. A couple years ago, returned to acting, which I did for a long time. And once you're bit by that bug, it tends not to go away. So I act, I'm a voiceover talent, and I've been doing that even throughout all the rest of the stuff. I do PR, which many people know, but most don't, because that's kind of, for those who know that's what I do, then they summon me for it, and I do it. So I'm picking and choosing kind of what I want to do in this space in life. But I'm a former news reporter. I'm a 3-time author. I'm a resiliency specialist. I really teach people how to understand themselves and others, and personal growth, and understanding what it looks like to get the right perspective to have real success in life.
Wow, resiliency expert. I missed the memo too on just doing one thing.
Well, me too.
Yeah.
My mother told me when I was about 14, "You're allergic to boredom." I was like, "You're right, I am."
Most of the successful people I know have missed the memo.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So tell us about your journey to marriage. How did you meet? And tell us all the good stuff.
We both like telling that story, but we tell that story so many times. You want to start, or you want me to start there?
We've been told we tell that story. No, you started something and started something else. He didn't mean that. So we first became acquainted on Twitter.
And we stressed we became acquainted. We did not meet.
So we weren't on Twitter looking for love.
Right.
You know, that's just not how I roll. So we became acquainted on Twitter probably in 2007, which is
2007,
about when
2008,
both of us, right when Twitter started.
Yeah, we were early adopters.
But we didn't actually meet until September of 2009.
Yep.
And people thought we were already a couple long before that.
We knew each other.
We didn't have conversations. There was nothing until September 2009, when he came to New Orleans. And at that time, I was Director of Public Relations for the city of New Orleans up until Hurricane Katrina. I returned to New Orleans to work on campaigns. I've always worked on campaigns and had connections. So at that time, he came for a conference.
The National Black MBAs Association Conference.
And we'd already said whenever we're in the same place, we'd have, because back then tweet ups were huge, we'd have a tweet up. There were so many people coming to the city that by the time it got to like the 13th, 14th person saying, oh, I want to have a tweet up, I'm like, wait, this is too many people. And you know how it is. You know people online, but then you meet them in person, and you don't always meet the same people. You don't know what that's going to be like. So what I decided was, I don't mind meeting any of these people, but I'm not going to do 13 different meetings. And so I'm going to arrange, and because I was in PR, I knew a whole lot of people in New Orleans, and I arranged a party, basically, and reached out to him and said, and I'm going to do it around you. So there's a lot that went into that I never even spoke to him until that day, which made me really not like him very much, the way that went. Until I actually met him, I just felt like he was just this aloof, executive, black dude who was, just had, the head was too big, who just thought too much of himself, is what I determined. So I was going to do this tweet up. I was doing it for selfish reasons anyway, so it didn't matter that I didn't like him. I don't like most of them that are too big, have big heads, and I have to shrink, and I'm no good at shrinking.
and my goal was, at that time, I was trying to really generate more speaking engagements, and so I was trying to do more public things, branding things beyond Black enterprise. So I was already there to speak for the Black MBA Association on a panel. I think it was judging a business plan competition. But this also dovetails on where my head was at the time professionally. I was like, this is not something I'm used to doing, having a event thrown around me as the quote unquote, what was that, the man of the hour or whatever. They needed a drink after me.
And it was a big to do. It really was.
But there were a bunch of people that really wanted to not only see her, but also wanted to see me, and we were going to be, so between just the convention.
It was hundreds of folks who
showed up for this.
And it was a big deal. All the local greats, from Kermit Ruffin to so many local greats came to play. We went to a place that was called The Perfect Fit. It's no longer there, but I knew the owners. And arranged this big to-do. And that's how we first met. And had never spoken until that day, and we've spoken every day ever since.
Wow.
Yep. But even then, it wasn't like we saw each other. It was like, oh, no.
No, the sea did not part.
No, the sea did not part. There were no fireworks. In fact, other people thought we were a couple before we thought we were a couple. Remember that last dinner?
Yeah, one of the councilmen, he wanted to come and meet him too, because he had some other things going on, and he knew he wouldn't be a councilman for long. And so he showed up and was like, man, again, we were leaving. He said, man, I'm sorry I missed y'all, but please let me take y'all to dinner. So we ended up at Ruth's Chris the next night. Looks at me and goes, want to go to dinner? And so that's how that next night came.
The whole dinner, him and his wife kept saying, so how long have you been together? He's like,
I was like, I don't know this dude.
Yesterday. What you talking about? We weren't touching each other. We wasn't doing anything.
But none of that happened.
It was just like we would have a dinner with them, and they kept asking us how long we'd been together.
And then some of the people that I knew had decided, because there was this one woman who was really trying to rub up on him. And, Alfred is, he has no clue when he's being hit on. He's that dude. But my friends were like, well, who is she? I was like, it's all right. I don't know him. Nah, that's your man. No, it's not my man. I don't know him.
It was funny.
So, how long did you date before you decided to get married?
We did not. Well, we were together for, first of all, after that first meeting, we didn't lay eyes on each other again for 6 months. But we talked every day. We didn't become a couple, meaning committed. Even though we didn't know when we were going to see each other again, I decided I wasn't going to date anybody else until we saw what was happening. So, but we were together. Our 4th wedding anniversary is this coming October. So we were
together 6 years.
6 years before we got.
So many people were like, "My God, what are y'all waiting for?" And I was going, "There is no rush. Exactly. I don't know what y'all. This is both of our 3rd marriage."
Yeah.
And neither one of us were afraid of commitment. Neither of us were afraid of getting married again.
In fact, I had the opposite problem, which is some of the things that
right
grew into our philosophy with our business and our book. people worry about men who are commitment phobic. There's a dangerous flip side to that, which is almost commitment obsessive.
Mhm.
So my first two marriages,
Commitment compulsive.
commitment compulsive. That's even actually more accurate, because I was, for a lot of reasons that we probably don't have time to go into here. I'm that dude that's like, I want to do the right thing and lock it down and get married and be a good man, et cetera, et cetera. So this is and I tell people all the time, my relationship with Zara is the first healthy relationship I ever had, in part because it was the first time that I did not do what comes naturally to me, which is to commit right away. And Zara's she was like, there's no rush. Let's do this, lay the foundation for this relationship before we.
I'm all about
do something.
foundation.
Yeah.
I'm all about seeing a person, and this is in all relationships, seeing a person through all seasons.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't just mean the 4 seasons, so I see you year round. No, I want to see how you behave in all situations.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see how you handle stress. I want to see what you're going to do when I piss you off. And I'm going to piss you off.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to push the needle to see just how far, and if there is something that's explosive, I need to know that. So I'm that chick. I'm going to push it. And I encourage everybody to learn how to do that in a safe.
Yes, we
Well,
all should do it.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Men and women.
Yeah.
So what was the impetus behind you creating the Grown Zone and co-writing the book, Loving in the Grown Zone?
Well, the creation of the Grown Zone started as just a joint Twitter account in 2012. And again, it happened organically. People already thought that we were together even with that message. So I used to tweet, and I still do occasionally. I was well known for tweeting with the hashtag #AGrownManKnows, because I was doing this messaging around the difference between an adult male and a truly grown man. And in the book we go through some of that, and on our website we do that too. So I was already known for doing that. A grown man knows this, a grown man knows that. She did, because she used to hate the whole grown and sexy trend, because much of what people do in the name of being sexy ain't grown.
It was anything but. It wasn't grown. It wasn't sexy. I hated it.
So she already had a thing called grown is sexy, and if it ain't grown, it ain't sexy. So she used the hashtag. I had my hashtag, and people thought that we were some kind of tag team. Again, we had never met, So, but as we got to know each other, and we realized that while we came to, our paths came from different directions, we believed a lot of the same things around what we ultimately determined was grown, healthy behavior, which is the difference between what you have the adult right to do. It naturally coalesced, and we said, let's start this platform called Grown Zone, and it was just a Twitter account, and then it kind of grew from there.
All of those things, by the way, my grown is sexy stuff, his a grown man knows stuff. My things were often tied to what I call punani principles.
Yes,
so really
she was also really well known for it in those days in Twitter.
The punani principles, teaching women how there is an invisible line between your heart and the punani.
Yes.
So so you can try and act like they're isolated if you want to, but if you want to really make some sound decisions, you need to understand the connection.
So you guys dropped some heart gems and heart truths.
That's
some
what
good
we do.
gems and heart truths, rather.
That's what we do.
In the book, and you talk about what it means to sustain and create a healthy relationship. What is the difference between adult choices and grown decisions?
Well, the line or the balance that we strike in everything we do in the Grown Zone is whether it's something is either healthy or unhealthy, right? There's a lot of the things you have the adult right to do that are absolutely not healthy for you, but you have the right to do it. You have the right to do whatever you want to do. Sleep with whoever you want to sleep with, make babies anywhere you want, date people who are dangerous and destructive, who may be abusive. You have everything that people do in the name, in this case, pursuing relationships, but Zara's focus is even broader than that in terms of relationship choices. You have the adult right to do.
Absolutely.
But it doesn't mean it's the grown, healthy thing to do. And our thing is, what's grown, what is healthy, what's self-loving, what's advantageous to you and those who are in relationship to you, including your minor children, who are going to suffer the consequences of whatever choices you make, that you have the adult right to make, again. And so everything you have the adult right to do is not the grown and healthy thing to do. And if you're not willing to accept responsibility for that standard of decision making, you may be an adult, but you're not grown. And adults are very dangerous people. Adult people who are not grown, and it has nothing to do with age. everybody in this room could probably point to a family member or a friend who's in their 60s or their 70s who still makes decisions like they're 15.
Mm-hmm.
So every adult choice is not a grown decision.
Exactly.
Okay. So on page 7 in the book, this resonated with me. Living in the grown zone means recognizing that it is not your responsibility, nor is it within your power to change, fix, or control the behavior of another person with your love.
Yes.
Does somebody want to go into that?
Well,
either one of us can hit it.
Um,
I'll go
here-
first. Okay,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, go ahead, baby.
Here's the bottom line. You can't make people anything. You can't make anybody do or be anything. And a lot of people use love as currency. And it's why we really focus on defining what love is. Because if you are controlling people with by punishing them by withholding your love, or using it in any way,
Bribing them by giving it to them.
in any way, then that's not
That's not
love.
love.
That is a self-love deficit that you need to fix. It's not, and when other people are not delivering to you what you consider loving, then it's not your responsibility to try and fix them to give you what it is that you think you want or need. Either you are a matched pair or you're not. That's a lot of people, and particularly women today, who are trying to buy love. You don't have enough money to purchase authentic care for you. And it's not your responsibility to try and fix somebody else, or to make somebody a project that's gonna serve your purpose.
But see, we're fighting against a lot of programming. Because think everything
That's
that
what all this is.
that Zara just said, but think about what we're taught. All people, but women in particular, are taught that if you love him right, he'll do the right thing. That if you want to keep him home, you got to do this. If you want to, or if you're a guy, you better buy her the expensive rock. You better have it's all about how do you quote unquote love the person into doing and being what you want them to do. Think of the fairy tales that you were taught when you were a kid about how you get the prince. And how you get the princess to fall in love with you. Think of the movies that you see when what the person, whether it's the male or the female, does to somehow get this person to love them. And for me, because I'm a big fan of classic R&B, a lot of the songs that I love, if you strip away the music and you listen to the lyrics, is not healthy stuff.
Most of it is not healthy
One
stuff.
of my favorite songs is "I'm Gonna Make You Love Me." A classic Motown classic. And I remember a young lady that I was dating back in the day, and I used to make the mixtapes, the slow mixtapes, and I sent that to her, and she was like, there's a stalker kind of. And I was gassed. I was like, and then I thought about it. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna make you love me. What do when you see these murder suicides or or people taking out their husband and taking
nobody else will.
Yeah, that sounds very romantic in the song. If I can't
stuff.
have you, nobody have you. I can't live without you. But it's not so romantic when the person really means it, and you see these news stories, and Zara and I watch a lot of what we call educational TV.
It's educational programming.
Mayhem television.
ID channel.
ID channel when the husband just takes out the wife, or the wife takes out the husband and the girlfriend. But they're all done in the name of love. Think of how many murders, murder suicides, kidnappings, you name it. We always tell people, love needs a defense attorney because we blame so many unloving things on ours.
None of that is love.
I just loved her so much, or he loved her too much, and it's not love.
Some of that, I talk to people all the time who mistake possessiveness. They don't see it as possessive though. They think they're so caring and he's so considerate and he wants to know where I am and he's always looking out for me. And you're just, sweetheart, you've known this man 2 weeks. You've known this man 2 months. He ready to move in, and no, slow that thing down. You don't know that person. That's possessive consciousness.
And it works both ways. We're not gender biased or
not
gender
at all.
focused, because there are women who are just as controlling about especially when they decide they're going to make them a project, and I got my house, I got my job, I got everything I want, but I don't have this man. And so they get a man, they cast him in the role. He ain't the right person for the role. They buy him some new teeth. They give him some credit cards. They dress him up. They give him a car. They take him, take him everywhere. And the dude is not down for it at all. But she thinks she can, again, buy and create and control. And what we say in the book, almost create a Frankenstein's monster, because she's going to build her man. She's going to create this man. But it all goes back to this idea that love is something you can acquire. Either buy it or give up sex for it or guilt people into it or some other way of acquiring it, as Zara said, like it's an asset or property. So we do a whole thing both on the website and in our teaching and in the book about possession consciousness and how dangerous that is, not just in terms of love relationships, but family relationships. People think they own their children. You don't own your children. You are stewards over their lives for a certain period of time.
That's it.
But they belong to themselves.
That's right.
And once they're adults, they're going to do what they want to do. And you're doing them a disservice when you act like they're your possessions. Or children don't own their parents. If you don't tell their parents, you my mama, you can't do this, you can't date, you can't. No, you go do you, I'm doing me. But possession consciousness, this idea that love equals ownership, it's rampant in our culture.
I ain't his and he ain't mine.
Right. We don't belong to each other. We are gifts to each other, but we're not the property of each other.
I love that. That's tweetable.
That's real.
Yes.
And Dorinda, I gotta tell you, most of the people who fall in the women who fall in that space we just talked about, that fixer up, are professional women who got it going on, entrepreneurs in C-suites. I mean, doing the dang thing. And they figure, and I say this all the time, what you have, your business acumen is no match for your personal problems.
Right.
And no match.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how good you are at your job. That doesn't mean that your house is going to run the same way.
And you know what I've noticed with a lot of those women, they're looking for a man that is their equal in the superficial things.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so I have a lot of single friends, and they're always asking me, about marriage. I've been with my husband 30 years. We've been married 26 this year. And I want to go back to something you said about withholding things. So some of my single friends will say, well, I'll withhold sex, if I'm mad. And I'm like, if I'm mad at my husband, first of all, the intimacy of sex helps us to heal. And I don't think I'll ever get so mad that I would want to withhold sex from my husband. He pisses me off sometimes. But at the end of the day, what I tell my girlfriends, the least he could do is make me feel good. So after he got on my nerves. So, you have to really understand and value what sex is, the intimacy of it, and what it means to your relationship.
And it has to, if you violate trust if you use sex or money or anything you have, but let's talk about sex. If you're using it to get somebody to do something, that's manipulation. If you're withholding them to punish them, that's manipulation. Once sex becomes about manipulation, the trust is gone.
Yeah.
Once the trust is gone, the value of the intimacy becomes diminished, and it's just there's no positive outcome from that. So we talk about a lot in the book, as you know, because you've read the book, the 4 things that you need to protect before you enter a relationship, and certainly have to be sacred in the relationship: your money, your body, your home, and your heart, your emotional safety. So in the case, if you're already in a relationship, it's not a healthy relationship if you feel like any one of those 4 things are going to be threatened if the person's mad at you.
Yeah.
You can't feel like you're not safe in your house. You can't feel like the person's going to divulge all your secrets to punish you. That's emotional safety. You can't feel like they're either going to abuse you sexually or withhold sex. And you can't feel like they're going to go and take your credit card and like max it out. But these are things people do to punish each other in unhealthy relationships. Those 4 things. And by the way, if you're not married, but you're bonded by those 4 things, you are in effect married, whether you get to have a wedding or not.
That's right.
Those are the 4 ways you bond to other people in intimate relationships: financially, cohabitationally, through sex, and through emotional intimacy.
Wow. Okay.
I will also say that for the most part, when people are having those kinds of sexual struggles, I won't even call them intimate struggles.
Right.
Because to be intimate, it is about trust.
Yes.
If the trust is not there, it's just sex. So if they are able to turn it on and off like that, then they've got some issues that that affected the trust long before it got to where it is. So they probably entered the marriage without clearing up those four things, and now that thing has come back to bite. So when people, what I've experienced when people are saying that they don't want to be sexual with a partner, it's some emotional stuff going on. It's not just I'm mad at him. It's he has hurt me. He's betrayed me. The trust has been broken. He's over there doing something else, and now I don't want to. So they ain't telling you everything.
Yeah.
But that makes an important point about how we approach things in the grown zone. We tell people we're neither pro nor anti-marriage. We're pro the healthy relationships that make good marriages work.
Yeah.
So what we tell people is that marriage, there's dating coaches. We're not that. We're not matchmakers. We're not marriage counselors. Like we believe in. We're focusing on the underlying relationship, the foundation. Because if the foundation of the relationship is healthy, anything you build on top of that, marriages, children, businesses, finances, will be stable. So the marriage is the house, and everything in our culture focuses on the house. But you can build a mansion, and I have from a marital standpoint. My first marriage was a beautiful marriage from the house side. The underlying foundation was never set. And no matter what you do, if the foundation is not set, you can have the most beautiful house in the world. It's going to crack, it's going to crumble, and sooner or later it's either going to collapse on top of you.
With careers and children and
under
houses
it,
and
or, as I had to do with my first marriage, I had to intentionally take it down as safely as I could, because it was either going to collapse on all of us, or I had to take it down. And it still wasn't easy, and it still was painful, but it was less painful than it would have been if I just let it crumble. So we tell people, we don't focus on, people say, should I get married? We're like, we don't know.
Right. And only the
Only
people.
two people know that. But we can tell you whether this foundation you laid
That's right.
is healthy enough to sustain a marriage or not. Because if it isn't, you gotta, so people say, the way, like, we get into a lot of, I don't want to say arguments, but let's say disagreements with religious people. Who are all like,
I was about to say,
stay married at all costs, divorce
yeah.
is not an option, all that stuff. And I was raised, my first marriage lasted longer than it probably should have, because I'm the grandson of a preacher, and I was like trying to hold it on together by any means necessary. But our thing is, if a relationship is unhealthy, it should end, period. Now, if you're married, that could mean a divorce, or it could mean we end this and we renegotiate the whole relationship on all new terms, and then stay married and move forward on these new terms. But both people have to be committed to the new terms, or it's not going to work. But
the way the unhealthy part is going has to end.
Has to end, whether you stay together or it doesn't.
Right.
And so this whole idea, and you have to do what's healthy for you. So, most of the time when marriages are in trouble, one person is trying to fix it, and the other person is like, I'm cool.
Mm-hmm. Things are good.
Things are good.
What's wrong?
I get to see my chick on the side.
I'm all right.
What you mad about? I'm getting everything I want. Which is another reason why using sex as a controlling mechanism never works.
Yep.
Sex is an affirmation of behavior, whether it's good behavior or bad. So if I'm cheating, whether I'm male or female, and you think the solution is I'm going to really blow your mind in the bedroom to keep you home, you're saying I'm doing what I want to do and getting rewarded.
Absolutely.
Sex is an affirmation of behavior. It doesn't
Absolutely.
correct behavior. So again, if you don't deal with the underlying foundation that there's no trust in this relationship, you're not going to screw the person into acting right. You can swing on chandeliers, invite other people into the bedroom, all the crazy things we see people do because they're going to hold on to their man or hold on to their woman. It's not going to work.
And when there's infidelity in the relationship, then it's people want to focus on the infidelity. There are always underlying issues. It's not the infidelity.
And
there
often
are underlying
the underlying issue is that infidelity was a lifestyle before the marriage.
Absolutely. Somebody wasn't
infidelity
committed to
is a lifestyle. You committed to fidelity as a lifestyle, whether you're single, married, or not, or you're not. And and men in particular, we get in trouble because we think if we were conditioned for infidelity, meaning I was single and I was doing my thing and I had chicks all over the place, and now I'm conditioned. I've spent maybe 15 years, from age 14 to 29. That's the way I lived. But then they think, oh, I found the one, and he may really be in love with this one, and he thinks that he's gonna walk down the aisle, he's gonna have his last outside sex bachelor party, Then he's gonna walk down the aisle the next morning, 4 hours later.
A switch is gonna turn
He's
on.
gonna flick a switch. The preacher's gonna pray. They're gonna take vows.
I do it some magic dust.
And then suddenly he's gonna be Mr. Fidelity. And then we have male clients and even including not clients but friends and family members who call us and they're like, I feel so bad. I love my wife, but you conditioned yourself for 15 years, and until you uncondition yourself to this lifestyle, and it can be done. But it ain't gonna happen by accident.
Mm-hmm. So I have to share this. So before my husband and I got married, we talked about what the deal breakers were. And for me, just given you guys read my book, so you know that I had a lot of trust issues. Infidelity was a big one for me.
Yep.
Yes.
And so now I just had a conversation with.
Can I say this? Mm-hmm. We love this woman's book.
It's good stuff. It really, really is. If
you
don't have it, go get
it. All right. So I just want to make sure I know I've said it over and over again, but I can't say it too much.
And I want to thank you because you were one of the first people to publicly endorse my book. So thank you for that.
And I don't be doing that all the time.
I know. So that was a big deal. A big deal. And I was so honored.
Yeah, and he's bought it for so many people. So
yeah, I still got 2 or 3 copies left at home.
But I was telling a friend of mine just the other day because she was talking about her relationship issues, and I was saying, is he your safe place? Because my husband is my safe place no matter what goes on.
Yes.
Mine too. I mean, my baby.
Yeah, not your husband.
My partner.
I want to switch subjects right now. So tell us about the woman who measures her self-esteem by the length of her hair, the depth of her cleavage, and the breadth of her butt, and confuses being wanted and desired with being valued and loved.
Ooh.
So that comes from probably the most read chapter in the book, in part because before we wrote the book, we used to have a blog with jetmag.com. We used to be a contributor.
Jet Magazine.
And the first 2 posts we did was 3 signs he's not a grown man and 3 signs she's not a grown woman. And the grown man one did well. The grown woman one is the gift that keeps on giving. No matter what platform it's published on, it gets
millions
shared.
of hits.
And so one of the 3 signs is that the woman, and again, this is reinforced by society, really believes that her value is her physical body. That she doesn't have, that her as a person is not as valuable as the physical attributes she brings to the table. And as a result, she does reckless things to affirm. It's like the evil witch, who's the fairest one of all, wants to kill Snow White because it threatens her sense of self-esteem. So what we did was, in that thing, we talk about the woman who, on the outside, she may have it going on, she has the banging body, but that's the only thing she thinks she has of value. And
that's the really sad part. Alfred was one who ultimately edited the book. I think I wrote much of it, but he edited the book. And when he edited that part, I was like, yes, sir. that is hitting that on nail like nobody's business, because unfortunately, as girls, we're often taught from very young that that's what matters.
That's what matters. That's
you
what
know,
matters.
and if he's not looking at you, then if there's a prettier girl, or if there's somebody else can take him, and you feel threatened because you don't have what she has, and
or you're not willing to show what she's showing.
Right, it's spending way too much energy on the exterior. The grown woman knows that she does whatever she does to herself, however she adorns herself or does not, she does it for herself. And the one that's for her is going to be cool with all that.
Yeah.
And is going to recognize their intrinsic value, because here's the trap of thinking that the best thing you have to offer is what you look like. No matter how fine you are at 25, you ain't going to look like that at 45. You can do all the surgery you want. You can do whatever you want. It's like the NFL. There's always a new draft of new players, rookies coming in who are younger than you, stronger than you, faster than you, that you got to compete against. So once you make it about a beauty contest or a competition, then that's when you have women who get into their late 30s, early 40s, and even their 50s, doing desperate things to keep a man because they really don't think they have intrinsic value.
Yeah.
And as a result, guess what kind of men they attract? What we call the penis-led man.
Yeah.
They only attract men who only value
what
they can see and what they can experience physically and what they can touch. And by their very nature are going to betray you if you get sick, if you get old, if you put on 5 pounds, if you you get pregnant. You know, a woman will be fine and get pregnant, then suddenly the man's got to cheat.
Well, if that's what's attractive, if that is what attracted him, then he'll forever have. He has a wandering eye. He just has one.
There's always be another one.
There'll be another one.
Yeah.
And so to join competitions is just not a healthy mindset or move.
If you got to compete, they're not yours anyway.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's funny. I just came back from Essence Fest and I
Oh
took
yeah,
my
I
daughter.
can imagine.
My daughter is 27. She'll be 28 this year, and she had to change 2 or 3 times a day. And she's like, "Mom, you wearing that?" And I'm like, "That's the difference between 28 and 48, baby."
Come on, baby.
Because I don't like if I don't feel like putting on a dress, and I feel like putting these sneakers on to go to the Superdome. The people who I attract are gonna like me whether I have on makeup.
That's right.
or if I have on jeans or a nice dress, right? Because the people who I want in my life are gonna love me for who I am.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Right?
Absolutely.
With or without.
Absolutely.
And again, that goes both ways. You know, whether you're male or female, you don't want to feel like how much love you're going to get or how much you can rely on a person is based on whether your job is this kind of job or that kind of job. Whether you know, I was telling you, I was important before I became editor-in-chief for Black Enterprise. The person who appreciates me is not going to think I'm less important if I'm not editor-in-chief for Black Enterprise anymore. They're not going to think I'm less important because I have wrinkles. They're not going to think I'm less important because, I mean, the example I like to point to when I talk to men is my man that was the first Superman. What's his name? The actor.
Yeah. Christopher Reeve.
Christopher Reeve.
Yeah.
All right. So Christopher Reeves had it all. Handsome as all get out. Virile. Was by all accounts a very nice guy. Great personality. Gracious. Rich. You know, a movie star. Played Superman. Still considered, you know, the archetypal movie Superman. And when he fell off that horse and was paralyzed from the neck down for the rest of his life, he found out what kind of wife he had.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
because she was with him until the very end. Not just with him like, oh, the obligation, I got to stay with him. Like, that's my husband. I love him. I'm going to be with him until the very end. I'm going to do what I can to help him. If we can fix this, we're going to fix it. If we can't, I'm there. And so one of the things that we share in the Grown Zone all the time is who is at your side when you're weak, when you're sick, when good looks don't mean anything, you can't have sex, and money ain't going to help. That's who you want with you.
Yeah, that's who you want with you.
That's it.
You know, not the person who's only with you because you're balling at the club, or with you because you got the banging figure in the you know,
You're the
badass
prettiest girl.
weave, or you're the prettiest girl, or you're the sexiest guy, or you're or you're the most famous, or you got a lot of status. Because we call those attractors in the Grown Zone.
That's right.
You know, and the big 3 are appearance, sexual chemistry, and money. But there's 7 that we identify. How you know something is an attractor? It does what it's supposed to do. It draws you to a person. Nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
But attractors will change over time, whether you want them not to or not.
And you have to be aware of the things that are actually that you are attracted to, and the dangers that surround it. Because you know, while there's nothing wrong with you being attracted to somebody for whatever reason, you need to check yourself about what's really going on with that.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're attracted to somebody because they pull up in a $100,000 car, it's okay to like the car. But if you have decided you like that man because of the car, then you've got to check yourself.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's what I was trying to tell my daughter, because, you know, my husband was at home, and the people who were my friends who I would see in that Superdome like me for me. And if they don't, and if they're going to judge me because I don't have on makeup, or if I'm wearing sweats because I don't feel like getting dressed, then
I ain't out here fishing.
yeah.
I ain't fishing
I
at
could
all.
care less. Yeah.
or suppose they're judging you for something that's just part of who you are and you can't change. You know, I have this thing. I don't think of myself as a quote-unquote short person. Like, I don't use that label. I'm shorter than some, I'm taller than others. So when I meet some dude and he's got 2-inch lifts in his shoes, I'm like, bruh, what? Really? If that 2 inches is going to make a difference to that chick, she's not down for you.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Why should she care whether you're 5'7", 5'9", or 5'12"? If that's what it is, that is a artificial reason. It's an attractor. It's okay for a woman to be attracted to tall men. It's not okay for the foundation of the relationship to be based on your height. And you feel like you got to pretend to be something you're not in order to sustain the relationship, because
Absolutely.
it's unsustainable.
So I have a ton more questions, but we're coming to the end, so I'm just
We're
going
wearing it out. We always do this. We're
No,
sorry.
this is good though.
We
This is good
apologize.
stuff.
Go to grownzone.com, y'all.
So I want to ask the financial question because I can't let you leave without asking a financial question. So what are the signs of financial foolery opposed to a healthy relationship with managing finances for couples?
I'll let you take
Well,
this.
yeah, because I got personal experience with this.
What I want you to hit is financial abuse, financial infidelity, financial.
That's where I'm going.
Yeah. Okay.
That's where I'm going.
All right.
I mean, I wasn't going to actually tell my personal story.
Okay.
We ain't got
Okay.
time.
Okay.
Think of, let's talk about financial abuse in particular. There's a 98% correlation between financial abuse and domestic abuse. Meaning, in every case of domestic abuse, more than 9 out of 10 includes somebody using money, withholding money to punish and hurt another person. So it's a great red flag when you're dating somebody if they're trying to control you financially. Probably sooner or later they're going to be verbally assaulting you and physically assaulting you. So financial infidelity is just like any other kind of infidelity. If you can't trust them with your money, or you can't trust them to leave your money alone and not treat your money like it's their money, that's a problem. That's a red flag. If there's abusive relationship, usually the first time it shows up is in how finances are managed. If you're arguing over spending your own money, with them about how you spend your money, that's a bad sign because it ain't going to get better as you get more intimate with that person. The larger point we're trying to make people understand is that you should not bond yourself financially to anybody you don't know. And we spend a lot of time in the book and on our website and in our practice talking about the difference between what you know about a person and who that person is. Differentiating between the what's and the who's. But people will routinely co-sign for things because that's their boo, get apartment leases because that's their boo, buy them a car, get them a credit card. And what happens is, and particularly with women, there's a lot of financial damage to women's credit in particular because of the things that they will do financially to prove their love, or, I got to stand by my man and I'm going to invest in his business. It happens both ways. I don't want to make it gender specific because men will try to use money to get in control and show love to women. The point is your finances need to be protected just like you need to protect yourself sexually. And that means no commingling of finances, know what we call financial, stay away from what we call financial intimacy until you know the person. Mm-hmm. Another popular post on our website, is not in the book, but it's on the website, is the 13 things you should know about a person before you open your legs, your checkbook, your heart, or your home to them.
Okay.
And it includes a lot of the financial stuff that they should not know. They should not know. For example, if somebody shows up at your job unannounced, they know too much about you.
Yeah, they know too much about you. That's true.
I don't care if they bring in flowers and they surprise you to take you to lunch. How are they showing up at your job without an appointment?
If y'all in a car and you need to stop by the bank and they're driving and they tell you, give me the card, give me the pen. No, you put on your big drawers, big boy drawers on, and you say, no, bro, that's not gonna happen.
All the
push
time.
Back. I'm gonna get out. Push back. Move back. Yeah, and women have challenges because our whole lives we're taught to be docile and demure, and treat a man like a man. Don't disrespect the man, baby. You better.
And that's all it takes. He ain't got no man.
There we go. This is mine, and you're gonna respect mine. You're gonna respect the line I've drawn here, or this is done. Mm-hmm. And there will be what women need to know is there is a man who will completely respect and honor what is important to you. I have never just surrendered my brain for a box of rocks because some man was interested in me. Never. Not one. Not ever have I, not one time have I surrendered.
Not even for me.
Not ever. Not for any man have I ever surrendered my beautiful, brilliant brain for a box of rocks. No man is worth that.
How many successful, smart women do you know who felt like, whether overtly or covertly, felt like they had to kind of dumb down and shrink so that their man wouldn't feel, and they're told that's what you got to do. You got to, make him feel like a man. You can't make him feel like a man. Either he's a man,
there we go,
or he's not.
Yeah.
And here's what I later realized was the absolute key to that. The key to that is for a woman to be completely comfortable with herself and also with a man having as much control over himself as she has over herself. It ain't my business what my husband does most of the time. That blows most people's minds. What do you mean it ain't your business? Well, he did just fine raising himself until he got to me. So why do I now need to step in and take over his job of raising him?
Remember we were at dinner last year and somebody said something, they asked me, Dad, to get your permission for it?
To get my permission?
Remember we were at Black Men Excel last year, we were having dinner. I wouldn't want to name who we were having dinner with. But we said something and the other person was like,
oh yeah, they were serious. He was asking about yeah, but I mean you can't really go and do that. I mean not without her permission, right? What? Permission? Well, I don't need nobody permission. I'm a grown woman. He's a grown. You don't need my permission
I don't tell her
for
what
nothing.
to do and she don't tell me what to do.
And they're looking like, what? And that's a problem. People think that because you are now in relationship, that everything you do is the other person's business. No.
Or responsibility, which is even worse.
No.
If you're not complete, healthy, and happy and whole as
All
a
by
single
yourself.
person, you cannot be single, healthy, and happy and whole in a relationship.
You won't be.
A relationship is supposed to enhance what you've already established in your single life. It's not supposed to make your life complete. I got a whole thing about people, you complete me, and I'm looking for my other half, and I can't stand it. No, two half people make a whole mess. There's got to be two whole, complete people that make a healthy partnership, not two half people trying to complete each other.
Two half people make a whole mess.
Make a whole mess. I'm telling you. And the soulmate. Oh God, that's another one. I can't stand this soulmate crap. Because if he croaks tomorrow, then damn, I'm done. No.
And vice versa.
If I croak tomorrow, he said, no. There is not just one person. There are many people who could serve you.
We tell people it's not about looking for the one person in the world. It's about looking for a standard of treatment that more than one person can provide you and you can provide them. So let's say you're looking for a CEO. CEO of a Fortune 1000 corporation is hard to find. You're right. Most people can't do it. But it's not like there's only one person in the world that could be the CEO. Or for guys that tell them the quarterback in a football team in the NFL is a hard position to fill. But it's not like there's only one guy in the whole world that can be the quarterback.
Yeah.
There's a certain set of qualifications, in this case, for who is qualified to love you. And your job as a single person is to be intimate and expert on and you become expert on that by giving it to yourself instead of waiting for somebody to give it to you.
I call it sifting and sorting,
The better you love yourself, the higher the standard that other people have to meet in order to love you. Because they got to be as good as you are. And if they are as good as you are, you're not good enough. You should always be better at loving yourself than they are at loving you. They should be constantly, I always tell people, Zara is my favorite subject. Because no matter how good I think I'm doing, she's better at doing what she needs than I am. So that every time she raises the bar about what she needs, I got to raise my bar about what I need to give her if I'm going to be a suitable partner for her.
And vice versa. Which is why I don't believe this divorce is not an option bullcrap. If divorce is not an option, then I have committed myself to misery for the rest of my life. No man is worth that.
I tried to do that. I couldn't do it. My first marriage, I mean, and I say this all with love, all the love and respect in the world from the mother of my 3 older children. We were friends. But we both tried to say, you know what, we just going. But if you're in a relationship and you're like, and somebody says, Dorinda, how your man doing? And you're like, oh, girl,
it's hard.
You know, but we got to work through it.
You know, marriage is work. I can't stand it when people say that.
Our relationship
I mean, most of them
is not work. It's not hard. It's investment. But it's willing investment. We're cheerful givers. So it's not like,
we're not compromising and sacrificing.
Oh my God, we're going to make it. If there's adversity, it's not between us. It's us against
there we go.
The adversity that we're facing together.
There we go.
It's not between us.
We unite against issues. And we decided that that's what we do. We decided before we said I do, that's what we do because we knew who each other were.
Yep.
And I know you, I know your character, I know the values, and that's what we connected on. We connected on our value system.
Those sustainer characteristics.
So I don't have to agree with everything that brother does, and trust me when I tell you I do not.
Yeah, we don't think alike at all. Oh, yeah, no, we don't. You don't. They want to be so like-minded. You got to have like values.
There we go. So, but I support him in everything that's important to him,
and vice versa.
That's right.
Well, This has been.
She can have whatever she wants as long as it doesn't hurt her. That's what I always tell her. You can have whatever you want. She be asking for stuff like, okay, baby, I don't understand why you want.
You're like, all right,
that's what you want.
Yeah,
as long as it doesn't hurt you. If it hurts you, then I'm going to have a problem.
You don't have to understand. It's what I want.
Yep.
Okay. So this has been a great conversation. I'm looking at the faces of the young people in the room. I'm like, I know they have a lot of questions, and they look like they're thinking a lot, maybe about their current relationships. I don't know. But I ask every guest at the end of the show to share 3 life lessons in the journey of their life. So I'm going to, and it doesn't have to be specific to what we were talking about. Just 3 life lessons that you would want to share, learnings that you want to share with the listeners. Alfred, I'll start with you.
1, you are unconditionally deserving of love from yourself. It doesn't matter whether you get it from anybody else. You can't force other people to give it to you, but you owe it to yourself. You have to have a healthy, active relationship with yourself. I mean passive, but active. I have an active relationship with myself. I talk to myself. I talk with myself. I listen to myself. I intentionally build a relationship with myself because I know that's going to be the foundation for all other relationships in my life. Number 1. Number 2, you never honor your past above your present and your future. And you know, I know from your book and from me knowing you as a friend, you have a lot of things in your past that you could let that be the reason why you're not the person that you are today. Mm-hmm. And so many people punish themselves because of things that either happened to them or things that they did, choices that they made. And we always say, never honor your past above your present and your future. No matter what you've done, don't let other people do it. You can get better. That's what you're here to do. And I don't want to even step on one of the things that Zara taught me when we first met. You're here to love and to grow. As long as you're still here and you can love and grow, it's good. And you need to believe that in your worst days. And then, the last thing I would say is you need 3 things. Everybody needs 3 things, but you need to give it to yourself instead of waiting for someone else to give it to you. You need forgiveness, compassion, and unconditional love. You got to give that to yourself before you can require it of anybody else.
I love that. Okay.
Yeah, that's good, ain't it?
Yeah,
that's good. Let's see. And I hate cliches. I really do. But I got a bunch of them, and I of my own. Mistake is a myth, and failure is fiction.
Yes.
And the sooner you grasp that, the better life will be. Because people tend to think that anything that happens that was not intentional, that they did not set out to do, was somehow a mistake. A mistake is, I get up and I knock his coffee over. A mistake is not you met somebody, decided you really cared about him, got married, and it didn't work out. That was just somebody that you met. If you're treating that thing properly, then you're not seeing it as a mistake. Neither are you seeing the breakup as failure. Mm-hmm. If you're doing it right, then you're seeing what you've learned from that thing. You're taking your experiences. And you are carrying that with you into the future. What we tend to do is focus more on, as Alfred just said, the past or the present. And in my mind, the present is the past. Because if you're focused on the present and you don't like it, it's already here. So get fixed on what's forward. Get forwardly focused, because, and here's another one. We say that perspective is everything. Well, if perspective is everything, and everything is energy, then if you're giving all your energy to what you don't want, guess what you're attracting?
Yep.
You're attracting more of what you don't want. So get forwardly focused, and those are the things that life has absolutely taught. There's one other one to give, and this is one of my favorites. Life is never happening to you. I don't care what's going on. I don't care how bad it is. I don't care who died. I don't care how hard it is. I don't care what mama and them did. It doesn't, and none of that matters. Life is never happening to you. I was in New Orleans during Hurricane Katrina. I walked away with 3 pairs of of underwear, 2 bras, 3 pairs of shorts, 2 shirts, flip-flops, my chi iron, and my dog Bailey. And lost everything else. That's all I had. I didn't go around talking about, oh, look, poor me, look what Katrina did. I got to start all over. Look how hard life is. Listen, and I'm not saying that was a picnic. It was not a picnic. I stayed in a hotel for 3 months. I wasn't sure exactly where I was going to do, what I was going to do, where I was going to land, exactly what was going to happen. I ended up in 3 different states over the next 3 years. Again though, because I missed the memo that I could only do one thing. I was able to create a living by being forwardly focused. I couldn't spend time in what had just happened. It happened. It didn't happen to me, and I have to believe that whatever is happening for my good, and that things are always working out for me. And guess what? They always do.
They always do. That's right.
I want to say what I was going to say, but I didn't want to step on you. But you led into that is one of my favorite things that she says. Life is not unfair.
Life is not unfair, honey.
It is not unfair.
That's a goodie too.
No matter what you're going through, life is not unfair.
Life
ain't
is
sitting
not
around
unfair.
trying to make you miserable. Life, whatever you're going through, it is what it is, and it's up to you what you make of it. Life is not unfair.
And as black folks sitting here, it's you know you gotta be careful about what you consume. You really do. I mean, are things looking unfair for us? Have unfair treatment that happening? Yeah. But if you gonna ever get beyond it, you gotta get forwardly focused. Where you going? Where you going?
You know, I tell people who ask me for advice all the time that sometimes when you're leveling up and you're on the right path, the devil will send demons to distract you. But those are just distractions. And if you focus on that, then you're going to miss the true opportunity that God has in store for you.
Well, you'll turn hurdles into walls.
Yeah.
People will get so focused. Again, if you're just close enough to a hurdle, it looks like a wall. You don't see a way over it or around it or under it. You got to back off of that thing and realize, oh, it is in my way, but there's ways to get past it.
Yeah.
But some people are so focused on whatever this thing is in front of them, or they're so pleasure focused, meaning they're assuming because it's unpleasant, then it's bad.
Yeah.
When a lot of the things that are good for us include unpleasant experiences, that doesn't mean you should suffer on purpose if you can avoid it. But
That's right.
some of the good things that you want are cause you to suffer, and this is true with relationships. Some of the relationships that I thought were the most beautiful things because they were so pleasurable in the beginning almost killed me. Like they were disastrous. You know, poison can be very tasty.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of things that are healthy for you don't taste that good. So you kind of got to back away. Again, don't focus on good, bad, evil, or good, you know, moral, immoral. Yeah, those things have their place in your decision-making process. You got to think about, is it healthy for me or is it unhealthy for me? And to recognize that some things that are very healthy for you can be poison for me. It ain't your job to tell me, or tell you need to eat that if you already know you're allergic to it. But you can't do that if you're not spending time knowing yourself in a real way, knowing yourself physically, emotionally, spiritually, being honest about your past so you can process your past, not pretending it didn't happen.
Right.
People say you forget it, forget that happened to you, forget about this, forget what that person did to you. No, don't. You need to process it. You need to let it pass through you so you can get what you were supposed to get from it and then release it. Not let it sit inside you and fester, and you pretend it's not there,
stuff
but it's still poisoning your life.
Which is what personal growth is, and why I love it so much. If you're not processing it, then it just kind of sits.
Yeah.
And when it sits, it rots. And when things rot within you, then you're a natural repellent to anything good.
Yeah.
You did your processing, boy. That book.
Yeah.
Did I mention get protected by purpose?
Yeah.
Because that's some processing stuff
Yes.
right there, boy. You. No wonder you're so powerful.
Gotta pass through you. You gotta process it.
Yeah.
And you could have pretended, especially when you were deep in your corporate life.
Yeah.
And we know people who do. That ain't never happened. I'm Jack and Jill and Swarthmore and and doing the right stuff. Yep.
I'll share this story, and we have to end on this, but I'll share this story. I was on a panel at Essence Fest a few years ago with another executive woman, and I didn't know her, But when I shared that my parents suffered from addiction and shared my story, and I forget what the panel was about, but it really wasn't about that, but I somehow got to that subject. She shared for the first time ever that her dad suffered from addiction. And after the panel, she thanked me. She said, "Thank you for sharing that, because I held it in, and I see how freeing you are with that instance in your life."
Mm-hmm.
And she actually wrote me a note afterward, another thank you note. So,
that's what telling our truths do.
Yeah, just
it
tell your
frees
truth.
people.
Yeah.
It is your truth. If you can't live your truth, and then you're living a lie, then you also block you block your process. You block your purpose. You block your peace. You block all the P's. Just stop. Just look truth in the face, whatever it is. And if you were born into it, then damn, you ain't created. You were born into it. And it's okay. Things happen as they ought. That is gonna be your footstool one day if you'll embrace it.
Exactly. So how can people find you?
Well, they're going to go by Grown Zone. It's Grown Zone everywhere. GROWN Zone on every platform. And if you follow Grown Zone, you'll find us, because then you'll see both of our Twitter handles on every platform, and you can follow us individually as well as follow Grown Zone.
Okay, and I will tell our listeners that I will ask you guys to come back individually to talk about other aspects of your life, other topics. But this has been phenomenal. To all the listeners out there, thank you for listening to the Protected by Purpose podcast, powered by Newark Ironbound Film and Television Studios. And be sure to follow the Newark International Film Festival, which is happening in September. Good night and God bless.